All right, well, let's get started. This is going to be an awesome discussion, awesome Q&A with Sunil from OpenBlox. So thanks everybody for joining. I'm Kyle, head of social here at Avalanche. Really excited to kick things off today. So once again, we're going to have an AMA with our special guest, and we have Will from our team who's going to lead the question and answer. And then at the end, we'll hopefully have some time to take a few questions from the audience. So as we come up to the end, we'll announce that we're taking audience questions, and then you can request to be a speaker, and then we'll kick off from there. But first, wanted to do a quick round of intros. So um, let's start off, Sunil, with you. Why don't you give us a quick intro on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey guys, I'm Sunil. I'm Chief Commercial Officer at OpenBlox. Been with the project since its inception. Um, Hugely encouraged by the moves that we're making, especially in the industry right now. My background is I've been in crypto for 4 years. Although I was mining Bitcoin back in 2012, so I don't know if that counts. But in around that time, I sort of gained my love for the industry, and then I'm also an avid gamer. So I love gaming, love playing very much traditional franchises, your Call of Duties, your FIFA's, Assassin's Creed. Um, Very much as you can tell, all action. And really, this is the perfect marriage. I get to marry an industry that I love in crypto with a passion of mine, which is gaming, and actually to be able to pull them in together is truly eye-opening, really, and exciting for the industry and also for the future of gaming. Really excited to see how blockchain technology will continue to play its part. So that sort of sums me up in a nutshell. Um, as someone who loves the space.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the background there. I'm really excited to dig in today on how those passions all came together with OpenBlox and RunBlox. So, yeah, we'll kick it off with Will. You have a quick intro on yourself?
Yeah, no, happy to before we jump in. So, my name is Will. I work here at Apple Labs almost solely with a focus on gaming. So, I too very passionate about the space, and I often said I think I learned to read playing Pokemon Silver, Pokemon Red. So, very avid gamer myself, very close with the OpenBlox team, and excited about everything they're building. And then, very very briefly before Apple Labs. I started out in finance, traditional M&A investment banking. But as we all know, crypto is here to stay, and so saw that writing on the wall. Made the switch over to Avalabs earlier this year, and really see gaming as the next frontier, and where we're going to be able to onboard the next million, 10 millions of users. And so, OpenBlox, is just another one of those platforms that I think is really going to get us there, and really excited about what they're building and their first game of games to come in RunBlox in a really exciting space of move to earn or FidFi. So really glad Sunil was able to take the time and be with us here today.
Awesome. Yeah, we're really excited to have Sunil here and kind of dig in. So, Will, I'll let you take it away from here and run through the Q&A, and then once we wrap up, we'll do some audience questions.
Awesome. So Sunil, I think it would be helpful for everyone here today, before jumping straight into RunBlox.
Yeah,
RunBlox is a part of the OpenBlox ecosystem, I guess, or platform, however you would describe
correct.
it.
Yeah,
So, if maybe we start there. Like, what is OpenBlox, and how would you describe it?
yeah, absolutely. Like, we'll start with OpenBlox and then we can delve into a bit more detail. So, OpenBlox we'll sum it up as an EVM NFT gaming platform. That's how we sort of describe ourselves at a very loose level. Fundamentally focusing on play and earn, not play to earn. So, just want to make that absolutely clear. We like to think of ourselves as people that are adopting gaming in every sense of the word, so that people don't consider blockchain to be a pure reward mechanism. We're looking at gaming from a very holistic perspective in terms of how do you develop really good games that people are going to enjoy. That's been sort of the passion of, as I said before, the games that I play them because I enjoy them. not necessarily because it's focused on being able to reward me. My reward comes from the enjoyment. And we're IP branded, so everything we produce is built in house, which is super cool. OpenBlox itself, we leverage one set of blocks, NFTs, and tokens across all of our games and all of our apps within the OpenBlox universe. So what we call our universe is the Blockverse. It's probably the easiest way to sum it up. At our core, we've got 7,998 Genesis Blocks NFTs that are now in and around. And what we can really see off those NFTs is we also built in breeding capabilities, and that's been built into the gene mechanism. So that's the really cool part of what we're trying to do. We've always set a set number for the amount of NFTs that we'd produce, but that was never an infinite amount. That was always going to be the icebreaker, really. Everyone else has the ability to really produce more, and we've got some huge exciting developments moving ahead. And from there, all of our NFTs, the best part about what we do is our NFTs are interoperable. And what we mean by that is everything we produce within our Blockverse, those NFTs, you don't just use it on one game, you use it across the games. That's what gives you the access to that point. So that's what we wanted to build. We didn't want to build something that is one game, one NFT, new game, one NFT, new game, one NFT. You need to be able to offer users, in my case, especially people that want to be part of our community, we need to be able to offer them a little bit more. And I think that's the hugely exciting part for us. So that's the sort of exciting top level. Underneath that, I'll quickly go into at a very loose level the sort of the games that we have. So OpenBlox itself, we recently released RunBlox game. It's a move to earn interactive fitness game, which is the best way to describe it. And it's fundamentally right now, and I'll do my quick plug, is users can join the beta test by going through the official RunBlox marketplace and buying sneakers and shoes. And right now, we've got 3 days left where you don't require a code to join our app. So if you are interested, join now. There's no code needed in order to get started. And one thing I would say is the NFT is actually cheaper within our app than it is actually within the marketplace. It's something that we've always had, and it's sort of the benefit that we give. So if you are interested, everything's there. At a very loose level, I'll go into the OpenBlox games then that support the app itself. So obviously, RunBlox is the first product, and we'll delve into detail a bit later. In terms of our games, we've got 3 games that we're going to have at a very loose level. RunBlox is our first game. So the best way to describe RunBlox is something very similar to Slay the Spire that came about within the industry. Slay the Spire has been around for a while, and it's a very good reference point for what RunBlox is going to be, a turn-based roguelike PvE card game. That's what we're producing. Sounds very wordy right now, but actually from an actual gaming perspective, people love this. And it's all about adventure for us. We want people to really enjoy that. So that is due in H2 this year. We haven't really put a date on it. As you can imagine, where people want to game, you want to produce the best possible game. This isn't necessarily about producing something that is sort of rushed out there. So we're very particular about how we want these games to go out. And that's the real value chain for us. If you want to know anything else about RunBlox, join our community, guys. We do like bi-monthly AMAs. And we also run updates and announcements in our Discord, Twitter, Telegram. So join us if you want to get the latest action there. And then the other 2 games, which are due now in 2023. First game is called Action Blocks. And that is a PvP win game where actually both of your characters will battle one another, which is super cool. Good reference point for that is Maple Story. That's available right now. And the last game that we're going to have is going to tie our whole community together, which is called RunBlox. So actually, this is a farming play and earn style game. Slightly different. Don't Starve is what's around at the moment. That's probably a good reference point, but we're not going to be, as I said, I'm just using reference points right now. not going to be exactly like that. It's going to be different. It's going to be our own unique sort of element for one, and that sort of is right there, and that's going to be released towards probably towards the latter end of 2023. But we'll confirm deadlines and timeframes as we go along. And then the only other thing that we have right now is actually probably about 11 days ago we launched our token, OBX, and that's our platform token. It fundamentally is for the OpenBlox ecosystem. Safeguards everything within our Bloxers is how I best describe it. And right now, that's available on Bybit.
Sweet. Thank you for the overview. I think like a couple key takeaways, both from when I first met the OpenBlox team and from the color you just added, is that one, you guys are actually building, and you are building really impressive products. I've been on the RunBlox closed beta, many versions now at this point, using it, going to the office and such. And the second thing is that when players actually, when they invest into the ecosystem once, they're not going to have to continue to, buy additional NFTs to play each game. So I can really appreciate the interoperability of the NFTs that you suggested. So, building on that, I don't know if you wanted to very briefly plug, the team behind OpenBlox and maybe describe the relationship between the RunBlox team and the OpenBlox team, if they're the same, or, also the relationship with Avalanche.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of the team itself, most of us guys are very similar. As you can imagine, our dev teams are slightly different. What we want is the best in class. One is building fundamentally Web3 applications. The other side is building gaming. So you've got two very different skill sets there. And that's sort of what we're trying to talk to in terms of the product itself. The one thing I would say is our developers have got a huge amount of experience. They've got previous work in companies such as ByteDance, MyAsix, which is the predecessor to Runkeeper. So they certainly understand their way around Web3 apps. And when building RunBlox, that experience is crucial. Because the one thing I think what we pick up on a lot of, and we'll delve into detail a little bit later, but applications these days are in some cases, people see a trend and they want to rush them out. We don't want to be like that. What we want to do is we want to build, we want to continue to build, and whatever we've built is never the finished article. You need to continue to build on top of that. And that's how we really seek it. And the development that we have with the people that we bring into the team is all about that. Like they've got 10 plus years relevant experience in blockchain, tech or game development. So these guys are the cream of the crop, is I like to describe them, and they certainly know their way around developing a lot of the tools. One thing we have in our team is we do act rather quickly. So we do have the ability of not just execution, but the ability of taking in an idea to market in a very quick manner. Our team doesn't really doesn't really sit on ideas. We're an action team. And as you quite rightly pointed out, we're a team of builders. Like if you want to build, you can't just sit and plan all day. You've got to actually build. And that's something that we really take to heart. And something we've been doing rather well, I think, more than anything else, is we've been building, especially during this bearish market in the last couple of weeks, but even before that. Build is really the key. And the more feedback we get from our audience, the more that we encompass that within everything that we're building. So it's vitally important for us that people provide us with the feedback on all of our projects. And then they use that to our advantage, really. And that's where we're really seeing, I think, that's where we're really seeing the traction gain, and where we're really seeing that community interaction really helping us going forward. To build a really good game, you need a really good community. You don't build it for yourself, you build it for them. And if your community is speaking to you, actually that is where we're seeing the biggest splurge right now. If I'll quickly just go into our sort of back end right now. So we've got a lot of notable venture capitalists. If you check out our site, OpenBlox, you'll be able to see a lot of them. But right now, like we've got some of the best in the world. We've got Japan's version of Elon Musk, Yusaku Maezawa, who's one of our notable project backers, and we're his first Web3 investment. So it's rather cool that he believes in our project like we do. and we've got his support. I think that's really, really good. He's one of the friends of Elon Musk. I'll just plug that in there, which is super, super nice. But also, it works for us rather well because he certainly understands tech, and his team certainly understands Web3, and that's where we're all seeing the future go. So I think there's definitely a good fit there.
Awesome. And I want to, maybe try and as concisely as possible. One more background question before talking RunBlox. So OpenBlox, when we first met, was actually launched on another blockchain. And, you recognize for one reason or another that Avalanche just makes much more sense to, to scale a game. Yep. So I wanted to briefly touch on, where did OpenBlox first start from, a deployment perspective, and how your team decided to move over to Avalanche.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of where we started off on the Arbitrum network, and look, we love the Arbitrum guys as well. The one thing that we'd say is Arbitrum gave us that sort of the scalability, the breeding capabilities. It speaks to everything that we were looking for. And every project is different. Every project is looking for something rather particular. But one thing I would say about the Avalanche team, and I can't speak highly enough of you guys, is the level of support that we've got, especially the Ethereum sort of virtual machine, the EVM solution that you offer, is unparalleled. No one else is really doing that. One thing we want to do is our project is completely focused on sort of safety and security of assets. So that was an important component for us, and Avalanche certainly speaks to that. And I think that's where the real development sort of happens quite naturally, where we wanted to look for a chain that understood those sort of safety and security elements. And as I said, it doesn't say that Arbitrum didn't, they absolutely did. And we've got support. It's great to have support on both sides, but then we also looked at it from a user perspective. What are users looking for? And right now, the biggest change, I think, in the marketplace is what users need is more accessibility, and they need lower gas fees. And Avalanche certainly speaks to that. That's where you guys are certainly winning, and where we're really benefiting, I think, in terms of our user base. Avalanche is also super popular. And I think popularity supported by really strong tech is always a winner in the current market conditions, and also in any market conditions that we're going to have. So it definitely sort of plays its part. When we looked at RunBlox, or when we were launching it, Avalanche seemed to be the natural fit. So it definitely is great that we've been able to launch on there. Our marketplace is also on Avalanche. So if you look at RunBlox, RunBlox.io, if you go to the marketplace, you'll also see that's on Avalanche. And I think that the biggest thing that I would say that we've got from Avalanche is support. And I think I mentioned that earlier, but obviously we're also supported by you guys, the official team, and I think and Blizzard, and that makes a massive difference. Look, at the end of the day, you need to be able to have support from those that you're partnering with or you're building upon. The only way we're going to get stronger as a brand is if we partner with the best in class, and that's something that we certainly find we're getting with yourselves. So that for me is where I think the biggest traction is going, and certainly coming forth within the next couple of months. The sort of probably leads me quite nicely into speaking a little bit more about the subnet, Will, and really looking at the subnet, telling us, if you don't mind, telling us a little bit more about sort of subnet development program that you have, and also what criteria you look for when you're selecting a project. I think that sort of is sort of the next step, because we certainly want to be part of that wherever this goes.
Yeah, no. So and we're very happy to have you guys. I think Avalanche as a chain is, I think, great for anyone who wants to build and wants to scale to many users. And then us as Avalabs, we're really happy to support builders, wherever we can. On subnets, I think this audience, hopefully knows better than anyone what subnets are, but I'll just very briefly touch on why they make so much sense for games. Until Avalanche, launched subnets in May of this year, Krabata, DeFi Kingdom subnet, they were both a couple of the first. You had to launch on an L1 or an L2, and you were sharing block space with other projects. And inevitably what happens is you scale and you compete for block space, it gets more expensive. Then you have to add another layer and another layer. And so what Subnets, in short, does for games, one of the things it does is, it gives you a permissioned sort of L1 as a service. And so you're not fighting anyone else for block space. You can permission your validators. You can launch a blockchain for your game, or a blockchain for multiple games, or multiple blockchains for multiple games. And they're all validated, by a subset of Avalanche seed chain validators. And so, I would love to see eventually an OpenBlox subnet, where you set the gas token and you're using, the OpenBlox native token as gas. And, I'm really excited to see how that changes the dynamics of your game economy and all the possibilities that opens up. So, so quick plug for Subnets and all the builders and game developers, listening in as well, and looking forward to that for OpenBlox as well. So I want to talk about RunBlox now. We've talked about it, very, very little thus far. So I want you to tell us where it is in development, as well as blockchain deployment. Because I've been on the beta, but I want to know where the game is, in terms of the app stores. The marketplace is live, and you guys have certainly made a huge splash on the NFT volume there. So I'd love to hit on those two things, where it is in development, deployment, and then if you could touch a bit on the NFT traction that you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you what, I'll take it back one step and I'll just quickly go through, just for anyone that doesn't sort of know enough about it, what exactly the product is. And then I'll delve directly into answering all those questions. I think right now, in terms of sort of the product, it's our first product that we've launched from sort of the OpenBlox team. So that's the first thing to recognize. It's the first product that we've launched. It's our move to earn product that we've delved into. You can earn an in-game token called Rocks by moving, jogging, running, or walking with our shoe NFTs. And our shoe NFTs come in three different, we'll call them layers. So we can speak to what they are. So those layers are, we have a walking, and that race type is a green layer. So we call it a flowering insect. And this, I'll go into why this is important in a minute. We've got jogging, which is a water layer, which is a shark and a hard shell. And then we've got running, which is a fire layer, which is techno and dragon. And the reason I'm speaking about different races is actually the three different races I mentioned are actually everything that we are going to deploy within the games themselves as well. So this is where you this is where you start building a relationship within the products, and actually the characters and the NFTs themselves. You actually have those layers of green, water, fire, flowers, insects, sharks, hard shells, techno, dragon. All of those six right there are the real value chain that we want to bring. And we've reflected that in the shoes that we offer as well within RunBlox itself. So that's sort of step one, about where we're sort of at right now. So in terms of its product, what we can absolutely say, and I'm absolute testament to this, we've been extremely fortunate with how RunBlox has gone. We're probably the biggest, and we are the biggest community right now in Japan for RunBlox and really in move to earn. And that's considering we never started until a few weeks ago. So that's a real testament to our team and the work that we put in with this. That it's an extremely popular product right now. And what we're seeing is Southeast Asia really taking to it, not only enjoying the product, but also utilizing it as much as they can. We are at this moment in where we would recall beta live. It's probably the best way to describe it. Right now, we're waiting to go live. We're on iOS via the App Store, but we're actually currently waiting and pending approval from Apple. So things like that is certainly holding us back a little bit right now, but we're probably looking at August or somewhere towards the latter end of the summer, early autumn, where we'll probably see some traction there. And you just know how these things go. Unfortunately, we'd love to take on as many as possible, be absolutely live, but things take their time. And when they do take their time, that also gives us a really good time to continue to improve, which I think is the most important thing. So we're continuing to improve the product as much as possible. Right now, we've made significant upgrades, is what I would say. both to the app and the marketplace. We've got more upgrades to come that I'll delve into in just a moment. And we're also going to be launching, as I mentioned, on iOS, but also on the Apple Watch. So look out for more information. If you join our community, we'll take you through exactly what we're going to do there. But imagine that you're walking around, you take your Apple Watch, you start using RunBlox, as you'd use your Apple Watch normally to try and clock your minutes and get rewarded for it. It feels like the next natural step of development that people want to be able to see right now. In terms of where we're at, and Will, you asked a great question there. As I said, we're sort of at the beta live stage, so we are live. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we don't have an invite code that's needed. So we do have 3 days where actually you can get direct access to the app, especially if you go through our community. Our community will guide you through exactly how you do that, which is the best possible thing. And yesterday, we actually made a really, really important announcement, which was that alongside Rocks, our OBX token will also be needed for the milestone of leveling up and also minting. So this isn't something that we've done previously, but it is a recent development. It is something that we officially announced yesterday on our Twitter feed. So keep up to date with that. And with that, the best probably example I can give you is if you take, let's say, a level 4 to 5 within the app itself, the cost might be, let's say, 10 rocks plus X amount of OBX. And then it will be the same with common pairs mint. So if there's a first time for a common pair to be minted together, you'd pay in both rocks and in OBX. And that's really increasing the utility of OBX, something that we'll delve into a little bit later. But what we really want to see is the real value chain. Just describing a few other bits, and especially on RunBlox and where we sort of foresee the future going. In the near future, we've got a number of different things that we're really looking to build out. But one thing I would say is the biggest thing that we'll do is the wallet function will be added. So we want to offer the smoothest user experience. That's one thing I would like us to do. And that's something that our tech team is fully focused on. Look, at the end of the day, you can have the greatest apps in the world and they can be full of technology, but if they don't work for a user, then normally they're probably described as a waste of time. Everything's got to be built for you guys, especially in our community. So what we're trying to build here is actually a product that really fits in with a smooth UX and design. And then as part of that, our app is going to have everything that you need. Depositing, withdrawals, and transfers readily available within the app. That's not there right now. As we said, we're in beta live, but you will be there. And the Rooks token that you currently earn, that's real Rooks. This is a no beta, no testing phase. This is the real Rooks. So you actually are earning as you're going along. So don't let anyone tell you any different. This is coming directly from us. You're earning real Rooks right now, which is super cool. So keep on to that as much as you can. The other things that I wanted to sort of describe, and I sort of mentioned it earlier, is we've got a real dedicated team towards this app. And the reason why is we don't want to slow down the development of our games, our actual interactive blockchain games. But at the same time, we recognize the need that you need really good talent to develop really good Web3 mobile fitness apps or Web3 apps in general. So actually, what we've done is we brought in the best talent just to develop and look after this, which is what we're trying to do. And then the other two parts are sort of describing where we did it and where we started from. This all started from a bit of an idea whereby we looked at how do we create more benefits, especially for our early sort of Genesis NFT holders. And we were always going to produce something that felt right to us. This felt right. This wasn't just sitting on a trend. We've been in development and thinking about this for a while. But what we also wanted to do was also reward as much as we could. And what we find utilizing RunBlox is we will actually be able to interact with our Genesis holders. Also give them something back. We were able to give them shoe NFTs. We were able to give them RunBlox access. And actually they were able to take advantage first. And they're our biggest supporters. they're providing us with feedback, even now within our community, of how we improve RunBlox from time to time, which we think is vitally important. And the
Thank
last
you.
thing
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, Will. The last thing I was just going to add is just on sort of Bloxers. This is just the warm up. Like, we're only starting. RunBlox is the first, but it certainly won't be the last. We've got a lot to come out within the next couple of months, years, 5, 10 years. You'll still be hearing about OpenBlox, that's for sure.
I wanted to pick out two things that you said. One,
Yep.
Even though you're still pending approval on the iPhone App Store, I've actually played it on my iPhone, so I know it's coming. For the benefit of those listening, this isn't in like a theoretical phase yet, and it's a totally separate lift, right? To add the watch app, it's a
I agree.
new thing they have to build. So I didn't know that. That's really, really exciting. I have my old Gen 3 Apple Watch that I'll strap on just for this. And then the second thing was the tokenomics here, I think, are very, very interesting. Games are still businesses, and you have to accrue value to the game tokens for this to be sustainable. And like you said earlier, you're going to have multiple games. They're going to be tied together by the OPX token as well as the NFTs. And I think adding this platform token, so to speak, for an element of this game, I think that's very, very interesting. And I think more games should be thinking about something like that. So I wanted to call that out. And I think most people see STEPN as a first mover in the FitFi move to earn space. So I want to give you a moment to compare and contrast RunBlox to STEPN. How is it innovating in other areas? What have you learned from the progress that STEPN has made in the space?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, I want to congratulate STEPN, really. I think they've done an amazing job. I think one thing, everyone always thinks that everyone is a rival in this space, but I think if you're a builder in this space, you can only sit and admire, especially a lot of the good things that the market's produced. STEPN have done a fantastic job. They've been at the forefront really of the move to earn space from the very, very beginning. And they are an inspiration, I think, for many a project. Probably not so much for us, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. That's mainly down to the fact that we were able to produce something very early on, and we already had the idea. So, in essence, we are more of a comparison more than anything else now, rather than being somebody that took inspiration from what they've done. But we certainly are enjoying the work that STEPN have done, especially on the community side, and also how they've been able to interact with multiple jurisdictions and really build out their product. The next thing I'd go into is one thing you learn in this space is there's lots of good things to learn from. There's also a lot of negative parts that you can also learn from. So what I think we've been able to do, especially at OpenBlox, is we've been able to be in a position where we're learning all the time from both the good and the bad that's occurring in the industry right now. And we use those negatives to ensure, one, potentially we don't make the same mistakes, but also listening is everything. If you listen to what's happening in and around you, if you continue to keep up to date and abreast of changes that are happening, it's only beneficial for our products and what we're trying to do going forward. The one thing I would say is we are different from STEPN because actually we use a completely different calculation in order to measure move to earn steps. So while STEPN is very traditional in its measurement, we actually use a different algorithm. And algorithmic calculations are slightly different. It goes into a bit of technicality that's probably not for this call, but certainly is something that we can address within our own community once you start using the product. But one thing I would get into is everyone's got a different measurement for how they consider a step, a jog, a walk. We want to use our algorithm in order to ensure that we can, one, take the right measurements in place, but two, also ensure that you get rewarded for the right steps that you're undertaking. And that's thing that we feel is a very good tactical movement for us, but also something that differentiates us from what's in the market. The second point I would make to a differentiator from STEPN is fundamentally focused on move to earn. RunBlox is part of a bigger movement. It's part of our bigger ecosystem here at OpenBlox, and it's only the first project of at minimum four. Never mind everything else that we're going to produce in the meantime. We have a huge roadmap ahead of us. Essentially, what we're looking to do, especially in sort of the near future, is really develop out our product set. And as I said, RunBlox will feature in that, and RunBlox will continue to evolve to get even better. The best part about, and something I mentioned earlier, was when you have a community that not only supports you but provides you with the feedback. That's the best kind of community, because what that community does is it keeps you humble, keeps your feet grounded. It also provides you with the feedback to make it better. And that's what we have at OpenBlox. We have one of the best communities around in Web3 and in crypto right now. And they've been a huge support. So I do want to take an opportunity to say thank you to them, and thank you for their continued support, because they've been with us from day one in most cases, and they've continued to help us really progress this product and really progress our whole ecosystem. I'm hopeful in a few years' time, when we gather back and we have more conversations about what we've been able to build, especially on Avalanche, we're in a position where me and you can talk about everything that we've done in the best possible way, because that's the real value chain here.
Yeah, and I'll add one more key difference that you mentioned right there at the end. RunBlox is native to Avalanche, whereas STEPN isn't. So you always love to see that, and I think we internally obviously see Avalanche as the future of gaming, GameFi, including move to earn. Right? This is not just
Exactly.
These aren't, like you said, it's not just copycats on copycats. I think move to earn or FitFi, this is a new genre within GameFi that is here to stay. And so there will be multiple players, and this is the OpenBlox product, for that vertical. And you guys have been very early and actually shipping features, which is a key differentiator.
Absolutely.
But this is a new space within crypto that is here to stay, and so wanted to definitely emphasize that. And as always, happy to see it on the red chain.
And I think you certainly hit the nail there. Like, we're continuing to ship product invention, new features within the product almost every week at the moment. Like, I'm not just saying that. We can literally we were able to provide a list of everything that we've done. Actually, we have been able to really develop the product out, and we're continuing to develop the product out. The one thing I sort of just want to get into is, I mentioned earlier about sort of you learn from the negative in the space. The one thing that I think, look, we've all been out there, and STEPN has done the job with all the positive information it's generated, but the negativity around privacy issues and things like that is something we really picked up on. For us, transparency is key, especially with our community. So ensuring the user's data is private and protected is of utmost importance to us. And we're trying our hardest, especially from a security perspective, to ensure that is everything that is happening with user data. So as I said, this isn't bashing anybody out there, but this is learning from situations that are occurring in the industry and ensuring that at the end of the day, we can do our utmost to protect users' data. We wouldn't be a good project if you didn't take security to hand. I say this about traditional gaming as well. If you take FIFA, if you take Call of Duty, everything is done online now. PlayStations are online. You're playing pretty much 360 game development. As a result of that, you're in a position where actually a lot more of your data is now exposed. But people wouldn't use any of those, even if reputation was of utmost importance to, let's say, a PlayStation or an Xbox. You wouldn't play if you thought that security was compromised. So everybody takes security importantly, and we're just the same. We're doing exactly the same as the traditional gaming market.
Yeah. I want to try and squeeze in, and by the way, I totally agree. data security is extremely important. I want to try and squeeze in a couple more questions before we open it up to the audience on here. And so one of the things I think would be key to discuss in brief is the plans for the rest of 2022 for RunBlox specifically. You mentioned one or two games or products that you're also going to ship later this year, and then there are more products that you described coming next year. RogueBlox with a G, RogueBlox. I'm personally pretty excited for. But what does the rest of 2022 look like for RunBlox other than just being approved to the app stores? What are some additional features maybe that people can look forward to this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, we can delve into one of the key details that we outlined, especially recently, which was we're going full Web3. So our vision is not to take user data. We believe in the Web3 vision, the Web3 vision being connectivity through your wallet. And we actually want to offer better protection to our users. So what we will be doing is we will be moving to a full wallet connectivity, enabling us also to get into further regions that we haven't explored right now. But this is a big part of what we're going to be doing. And it's a huge development piece of work. But actually, what we really believe in, and I think we've mentioned this before, is that Web3 world. We want to be able to adopt it within what we're doing. And we think this is certainly going to add a huge amount of change to how people perceive Web3. Look, at the end of the day, what we should be doing here is really embracing change as much as being able to protect users. And that's where we feel that will certainly play its part. As I mentioned earlier, we do have the App Store that will be coming. And then also at the same time, I want to mention the fact that we've got a number of partnerships that are coming into play. So I won't delve into too much, but what I will say is we're in final discussions with some famous NFT projects that you would know if we were to mention them. Their communities for both partnerships and collaborations. So RunBlox won't be on its own. There will be further collaborations that you'll see. And what you might also see within that is RunBlox featuring elsewhere. Again, won't delve in too much into the detail, but these things are all coming up, especially hopefully in the near future, but these things do take their time. But we are excited about RunBlox's path going forward. And when our first game, RunBlox, launches, the official blockchain game, one thing I would say is RunBlox will play a huge part within that. And we are looking at further ways in which we can integrate RunBlox within those gaming franchises going forward.
Thank you for a little bit of alpha there right at the end. So some partnerships coming with, maybe some blue chip NFTs. Not sure quite yet how that'll integrate. So I'm really excited to learn. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for the other alpha you dropped. One of the questions I was going to ask was, the trial app that you can play today, right? If you have the shoes, is the Rux you're earning on chain or off chain? And so you put that to rest. This isn't plain money. You're actually earning on-chain Rux, which I think is totally awesome. So that's huge alpha, I think, for people on the spaces. And let's pause there. I think now would be a great time. Maybe bring back Kyle to help loop in some of the audience members to ask any questions while we have Sunil here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for walking us through that. I'm really excited about all those updates and a little bit of alpha there. So thanks, Sunil, for giving us all that intel. But yeah, let's take a few fan questions while we have a few minutes. As a reminder, you have to be on mobile to speak on spaces. I know most of you probably know that, but as a reminder, I'll call people up one by one. And just so as we're honoring Sunil's time here, let's keep all of the questions directed for RunBlox and anything we want to know from Sunil about this awesome project. So I'll call people up and see how things work out. We'll start off with Shelby. Once we get you going here, go ahead and ask your questions for Sunil and Will.
Hey, Shelby.
Hey, y'all. I was in here at the beginning and had something kind of pop into my head. I've been having horrible connection though the past day, so I do apologize. So as far as the gaming aspect of stuff going, I was kind of curious if, I don't know if y'all are going to be at Avalanche House by chance this weekend. If so, there's a few things security wise I would love to kind of link you up with somebody who is, we have a security that's increasing security for their money, and we're working on giving these like holders of our NFT the app so that they can actually obtain this insured wallet that is secure to recoup those losses, God forbid anything ever happens. So as far as security, our New York this weekend about that, but the gaming portion of it, my cool little PFP right there is actually from a group called Metropius. They're an Australian-based NFT project, but they have Epic Games Mega Grant, and they're currently working on their game and app production. So I don't know if you have any like ideas behind stuff like that, where you might be able to give some pointers as far as like gamification and stuff, or I don't know, share your wealth of knowledge. As I, appreciate you coming up and speaking.
I know that broke up a little bit there, but I don't know, Sunil, if you were able to gather the question from there.
I sort of got something. Do you mind just summing that up, Kyle, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, say that again.
I'll give it a shot. I can give it a shot. So
yes.
Shelby, so she's working on a product for wallets. And there's some gaming overlap. I'll be at the Avalanche House, so happy to discuss that more there. And I'm glad you gave us a shout out for Avalanche House, our event in Brooklyn this week.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. We will meet up there. So let's try the next one here. Thanks, Shelby. Let's go with
Hello, can everyone hear me?
update. Yep, go ahead. Do you have a question for Sunil about RunBlox?
Hey, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes,
yeah,
we can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks, Sunil. And thanks, Avalanche, for hosting this space. This has been really interesting to hear. I have been aware of STEPN and kind of the path that it had. I'm not as familiar with Move to Earn, and I think a lot of us in the community aren't as familiar. So I know we had touched it, Sunil. So this was addressed a little bit. I was wondering if you had any more details, because it sounds high level, very similar, where you're rewarding owners for moving or taking steps per day. Obviously, with STEPN, it kind of fell into the rewards didn't really add up to as much movement was reasonable for someone, etc. I know you touched on some of the technicalities of how that looks and how that's differentiated. Is there anything else that you could say, or kind of details you could go over that would help differentiate these two and kind of the future of Move to Earn in a sustainable fashion? That would kind of be, again, the sustainability aspect is something that I'm curious in.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we never just produced the app for a reward mechanism. Is number one that I would say. I think the second part that I would like to go into is what we want to create is both an enjoyable experience, but also aiming it at the long-term health of our users. Look, health is important, I think, all around. And one thing that people continually focus on, move to earning. It's as important as it is to actually look after your health. So there is an aspect here that we look at the wider picture. The achievement system is there for people that actually want to go out, want to actually look after themselves. And we want to be able to, as I said, expand our horizons. Right now, we're focused on an app, let's call it 1.0. But app 2.0, that's going to be the future. That's going to be the future where actually you could digest more information about your health, more information about how this benefits you on a day-to-day basis. And that's the concept that we do want to get to over time. That's going to take some time in order to develop, because I think right now you're probably one of, and I genuinely mean this with the utmost respect, you're probably of a very limited number of people that look at what goes beyond the reward. Actually, we're probably in a community and a industry right now that very much is reward focused. But I think what we're finding, especially being builders in the space, is looking beyond the reward is probably the next step of development. Actually looking for the real utility, that's the key aspect. So we want to focus on health, and that's the concept that we want to get down to. That does make us slightly different. I think you mentioned it earlier, but the fact that STEPN focused a lot towards the reward aspect, it didn't crack up. Too many people, I feel, focused towards that, and the focus went completely against actually what the concept of the app was. What we're trying to do is, yes, you be rewarded, but let's focus back on the concept of the app. If you actually see a lot of our marketing material right now, we probably focus less on the reward, more on the fact that you're actually running, walking, moving. That is the real value chain here, and that's what we want to bring to the table.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much, Sunil. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for the great question. Right. I think might have time for one more. Let's get Jeff up here. I know Jeff requested a while ago. Jeff, if you have a question for Sunil about RunBlox, go ahead.
Neil, great to reconnect with you, brother.
Hey, Jeff.
Good to see you.
You too,
I'm
dude.
actually an early investor in OpenBlox and RunBlox, and it's been a really fun journey. Us at the crypto gaming team, we're always looking for not only just cool investor and investment opportunities, but just awesome people behind it. And I see Penny in here. What's up, Penny? Good to see you. I didn't get to hang out with you as much as I'd like to at NFT NYC. I wanted to give a quick update here. I've got questions, sure, but I think what would be really cool is I haven't heard anybody talk about answers yet. So I've been basically on RunBlox since it first came out. My very first run was June 27th. And since then, let me pull up my stats. I have ran 51 times. And when I say run, by the way, running and walking, because I own 9 pairs of shoes that I got airdropped because I bought 9 RunBlox NFTs. We bought over 100 of them is our guild, but I've already lost about 12 pounds. I've never ran in my entire life, except for when I was forced to do so in probably high school at PE. And just last night, I experienced for the very first time something I've never felt in my entire life, which was I was running and I felt like it was too easy, and I smiled and I actually broke a record. I'm running about 11.5 kilometers an hour pace, which is incredibly crazy considering I'm a 275. Well, I was 275 pounds. Now I'm about 262 since using the app. So I've lost about 12, 13 pounds. And I just love the idea. I never thought about a move to earn game. I've heard about STEPN. I never really got into it. But since I was airdropped a bunch of these NFTs, I said, sure, let's try it out. And once I got my invite code and got in there, I started realizing what the future as a crypto gamer, also for my own health. I've finally figured out, as a competitive gamer, someone who's literally played competitive esports their entire life, who's owned competitive esports teams, who's worked with Riot Games to help launch League of Legends and all this awesome stuff. I've won multiple MLGs. I've finally figured out how to actually get in shape and have fun doing it. And thanks to the RunBlox team and OpenBlox, I've gamified my own health. And finally, I have a reason to wake up, and never in my life have I ever said, oh my God, I can't wait to go running today. And I just checked last night. I have 3 pairs of shoes in my account, so I have 6 energy. I've upgraded 2 pairs of shoes almost to level 10, and I'm earning about 44 rucks a day. I think that the previous speaker had lots of great insight about, the following the same game path as STEPN and things like that. And how to keep things robust and people coming back. I think, Sunil, you had some great answers about how to keep it focused on the health. And I'm just super excited and honored to be a part of the project from the beginning. And you know, guys, I'm in it for the long run, so there's that.
Yeah. And genuinely, Jeff, we're delighted to have you. And I think, look, guys, listening on this call, Jeff is a prime example of exactly what I was talking about previously. This isn't just about being in a position where you are focused just on its value and its earnings. The earnings is a byproduct of the actual value. The value is your health, and actually being able to use that as a way to monetize your health. And Jeff, I'm delighted for you, genuinely, dude. I think that's an amazing job that you've done, and I hope you're proud of yourself as well, because it's great to hear real stories of real people that are using the app for the right purpose.
Yeah, love it.
Absolutely. I'm just gonna. I'll make a tweet right now with my latest stats so you guys can see, because I know some of you guys don't know how it works and don't have an invite code. So I'm gonna actually make a tweet right now with a couple screenshots so you guys can actually see that I've ran 51 times. A fat man.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Genuinely, it's amazing. I'm delighted for you, and delighted that you guys are part of our RunBlox and our OpenBlox team. And we're going to do great things together as we're doing right now.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Jeff, for joining us and sharing your story. It's great to dive into the technicals and the roadmap and everything, but it's also amazing just to hear the real life stories coming out of these projects to see how they're being used in people's everyday lives. So thanks, Jeff, for joining us. We got 2 minutes here, so we're going to wrap things up. Thanks for all the great audience questions. Thanks for everybody who tuned in throughout this hour. But definitely want to give a special thanks to Sunil. So Sunil, will give you a chance to give any closing thoughts to the audience here.
Yeah, number one, guys, thank you very much for having me. It's been a delight to speak to you. And I think one thing that we're certainly doing right now is we're in a great place to build. This has been, I think, as an industry overall, we've had a very tough time, especially in the last couple of weeks. But what we're finding now is, as a collective, actually, even as a collective in this group right here, what we're being able to do is great things. And when we come out of this very bearish moment, we're going to be in a very positive position as a collective, as companies, as blockchains, of really developing something that's going to kick on in the world and be part of our growing world in the future. I'm very positive about what the future looks like, both for OpenBlox and for RunBlox, especially. And I think that is the most important thing for our future growth, for sure. I would like to shout out, like I said, I'd like to shout out the Avalanche community. Thank you very much, guys, for being part of this. And I'd like to shout out the OpenBlox community for their continual support, which has been vital for our progress, for sure, especially in these last few months as we've really started to build out our products and started to launch them. As I've mentioned before, I want you guys to come and join us, join our community, find out more of what we're doing. We're on Discord, we're on Telegram, we're available on Twitter, you name it, we have it. If you want to talk to me personally, I'm around. Drop me a note, send me a DM. I'm more than happy to interact with you guys, give you more information. And look, we can't wait for the next one, guys. And I'm looking forward, Will and Kyle, to speaking with you again as we continue to make progression with RunBlox in the near future.
Awesome. Yes. Definitely shout out to both communities for joining, and we're excited to have the OpenBlox and RunBlox community join the larger Avalanche community. So excited to see the things to come. Sunil, thanks for joining us. Will, thanks for walking us through this. Excited to see the future of RunBlox come to life. So make sure you follow them on socials, join the Discord, check out the beta right now while there's still availability. And excited to see you coming out to the future. So we got more Avalanche spaces coming up. Stay tuned on our Twitter for more announcements. And then if anybody's going to be in New York this week, we'll see you at Avalanche House.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. And can't wait to see you all in our community.